Revelation 21. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And God himself shall be with them and be their God.
Welcome, my child, to the eternal kingdom of light. Come, all who seek peace and light, enter into my eternal kingdom.
And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right. And what I want to get into, today is dealing with the hopeful elect, have plot armor. All right. The hopeful elect have plot armor. And this is a lesson inspired by the brothers out there in Dallas, mainly the elder brother Yawan. I heard him speak on it at one of the camps, in one of the latest classes that they had in Dallas. They went into it, the concept of plot armor, which we're going to go into that definition. But let's go. Here's get a precept first, and then we'll get that definition for plot armor, okay, and get some examples of the scriptures. All right. So let's see. Let's go to here to Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 16. To this book, Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 16, it says, Seek you out of the book of the Lord and read, which is the Bible, and the most precious book, all right, the most precious understanding one can have, all right, as an Israelite is a thorough understanding of the scriptures, okay, and that understanding of the scriptures is given to the elect from on high, all right. The hopeful elect will have an understanding of the scriptures in these last days. Okay, we will be guided, and the scriptures say we're how the precepts are what a lamp unto my feet. So in the latter days, the elect will be awakened through the preaching of this word. Okay, and will come into a thorough understanding of this book, man. The scripture say, "What blessed is he that readeth." This is a true comforter. You see, This Bible, reading this Bible with understanding, is a comfort. Okay, it's a faith booster. You see, and it says, "No one of these shall fail." None of these prophecies. And we have to really, the more we read and tap into the Bible, and we see the Lord's prophecy play out real time. Okay, the more we believe that He is. And what's written in the scriptures is a guarantee. This is not a suggestion. This is not a probability. This is a guarantee. Okay, everything written that's to happen is guaranteed. You know, and we have to really step into their belief and their trust more and more going into these times where the earth is going to be in uncertainties, man. We're going to have certainty while the planet earth is in uncertainty, man. That's going to be a powerful thing. Okay. It says, none shall want her mate, for my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered them. Okay. Because we don't need another book, all right, to mate with the Bible. Okay. The Bible stands alone. Even when we use other, all right, material, other information, well, it's filtered through the Bible. The Bible oversees and is the authority of all information that we come across outside the scriptures. You got to line up with the scriptures to even be valid. Okay? So the Bible is the measure, is the standard. It stands by itself. Okay? And it says in his spirit it has gathered them. All right? Because the spirit of this book is gathering the elect. Okay? Because this book is Yahushua, the volume of the book. So it's his spirit on the book. Okay? As the scriptures say, until Shiloh come, then shall the gathering of the people be. Okay? So the spirit of Yahushua is in this book. And as he puts his spirit on his men to teach and break down this book, it's gathering the elect. Okay? It's gathering the hopeful elect via faith. Okay? Repentance and obedience. All right? Now let's go into this word plot armor. I want to get this word plot armor. Okay. So plot armor. All right. It said plot armor used to refer to a phenomenon in fiction whereby the main character is allowed to survive dangerous situations because they are needed for the plot to continue. Okay, they are needed for the plot to continue. Okay, so when you watch particular movies, okay, you watch Spider-Man, well, all right, and no matter what predicament Spider-Man is in, he's going to survive. But why? Because he has plot armor. His character is needed to finish the movie. Okay, the villain, even the villain. Okay, the main villain, he's going to survive because he has to survive to the end of the movie for that last showdown. So those two characters have plot armor. So you look at Jacob and Esau, all right, these two characters have plot armor, okay? And the hopeful elect, all right, they have the most plot armor because they're going to survive and make it to the chariots, man. According to what? The book, the Bible, the script. Okay, it said plot armor is a narrative device where a fictional character survives impossible odds. Okay, dangerous situation and fatal blows solely because the plot requires them to live. And when you understand the Bible, you understand the plot. Okay, it said often define the established logic of the story. It acts as a form of protection that keeps essential characters, usually protagonists, alive to continue the story. Okay, so we're coming into a time where the elect we're going to be in crazy situations, man. Hopefully we're part of the elect. We're going to be in crazy situations, man. But for the sake of the Lord's movie, for the sake of the Lord's word to be true, we have plot armor. The elect have to survive. Even in death, the elect have to be on those chariots, man. So even death can't separate us from, all right, the victory and being on those chariots. Okay, singing the song of Moses, man. Okay, rejoicing in the victory of Yahushua, man. You see? So even in death, the elect still have plot armor. All right. And this nigga Esau, he's been having plot armor because the Lord wants to judge this nigga, man. Let's get into that real quick. Let's get into Esau plot armor. Okay. And then we'll matter of fact, let's get this in Hebrews and then go back to Job, and then we'll get into some accounts. All right, dealing with Jacob. Now this is Hebrews 11. All right, there's the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 20. And it reads, it says, by faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. Okay, so by faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. And it was these last days. So Esau was blessed with their sword. Their sword really preserved this nigga, man. You know, Esau has always had the most advanced weaponry amongst these heathens because that was the way the Lord was preserving this nigga, man. Certain technology, whether he invented it or not, well, he, all right, possesses it. Okay, whether he came up with certain technology or not, this nigga possesses the technology and he uses it to preserve himself, man. He weaponizes everything, man. Okay, and Jacob is blessed to be the chosen people whom the Lord promised, all right, that he will never destroy. So the fact that the Lord promised that he would never destroy Jacob, Jacob is here. Okay. Matter of fact, let's get this dealing with Esau, and then we'll segue to Jacob. Okay. So you get this what's that in Job? '21. So this is the book of Job, chapter 21, in verse 30. All right, it says, have you not asked them that go by the way? All right, this is Job chapter 21, verse 29. It says, have you not asked them that go by the way, or do you not know their tokens? That the wicked is reserved. You see that? To the day of destruction, they shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. So Esau has to be around at the second coming of Yahushua. Okay, because the war in heaven, all right, requires Esau to be there. Okay, the war in heaven, all right, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, which is what? Edom, Rome, man, revived in the earth. You see, this modern Roman Empire, man, America, NATO, and the EU, these are Edomite governments, man. Okay, so the wicked is reserved, all right, until the day of destruction, to the day of Yahushua, his second coming. All right, so we know Esau's not done away with because he has plot armor for the last scene, okay, in this movie. Okay, for the scene of destruction, because the beautiful thing about Israel, hey, our movie never ends. Okay, the movie never ends because this is our beginning. Okay, but Esau, all right, he's reserved for this day of destruction, which the Heavenly Father is going to show his power through his son Yahweh, that day of wrath. Okay, and then it says, who shall declare his way to his face, and who shall repay him for what he have done? You know, and it's the prophets. Okay, so the prophets will have to be around declaring his way to his face. You know, building up to when Yahweh Shai is going to repay this man for what he's done. Okay, let's go here. When you go to the book of Jeremiah, okay, okay. Hold on. I think it's 30, 31. Let me see. This is Jeremiah 31 and 35. It said, thus said the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divided the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts, Yahweh Bashim Al Shai is his name. If these ordinances depart from before me, said the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Okay? So these ordinances, these celestial beings, the sun, the moon, the stars, if these things, okay, the sea, if these things cease to be, then Israel will cease to be. Okay? So the fact that these things are eternal, all right, celestial bodies, okay, well, this lets us know that Israel is going to always be around. Even after Esau is done away with, Israel is going to be around. Okay? Israel has the eternal plot armor. You see? Esau plot armor is temporary. Okay? Israel has eternal plot armor, man. And the elect have plot armor to make it through these times. Okay? So let's go here. It says, thus said the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will cast off all the seed of Israel for for all they have done, said the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. So these things can't be done. Esau can't measure the heavens. Okay? He has no idea. Esau be guessing, but there's a lot of things the devil can't do. The foundations of the earth, okay, searched out beneath. He don't know what's all in the ocean, man. He don't even know what's all, he hasn't even searched out all the lands on the earth, man. Okay? That's an impossible task. Okay? Because the Lord, all right, plans for Israel to be around forever. You see, it says, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, said the Lord. So the Lord is showing us that we have plot armor. Okay? Israel has to be around for the plot to continue. All right? The plot of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Okay? So let's go here. I want to say the elect. Okay? Because there's so much emphasis on the elect. When you go here to Matthew 21. So when we come into these times that we're coming into, the Lord gonna provide. Okay? The Lord already got miracles prepared for the elect, man. All right? Because the elect has to be here to be delivered. You know? So when you go to Matthew, I'm just going through some precepts. There's 24. Yep, this is Matthew 24 and 21. It says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor no ever shall be. Okay? So this coming into the worst time ever, according to the Bible. Okay? It says, and except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Okay? So the movie, all right, is modified for the elect, all right, to make it. Everything is modified for the sake of the elect. Okay? Surviving. All right? They're remnant, because a remnant goes into survivors, man. Okay? So there's a remnant that's already written in, it's already written in the script for them to make it, no matter what circumstances they come into. Because we're going to come into some hell of a circumstances, but it's going to be our faith being tested, man. We're just going to have to believe. He is. None of these shall fail. Okay? It's not written for the elect to starve. Okay? It's not written for the elect, all right, to not be on the chariots, man. To not be, all right, on no chariots when Yahweh Shai, okay, come back. It's not written for the elect to take the chip. The elect not going to take the chip. Okay? The elect going to make it to those chariots by any means necessary. Even in death, the elect going to make it on the chariots, man. You see? Let's go to let's go to that. Okay? Um, so even when you go here, look at this in in fact, look at this in Psalms. Look at this in Proverbs. Now this is one in Job too. You know, precepts coming. Yeah, look at this in Job, Proverbs, Psalm, rather. So we go because it's beautiful in the same chapter. You know, it's beautiful that this is in the same chapter. Job 5:12 said he disappointed the devices of the crafty. And this is why we know Esau not finna pull this off, man. So that their hands cannot perform their enterprise, man. So we don't care what Esau get on TV, because Esau be doing a lot of capping. It don't matter what this nigga got up this sleeve, what type of secret idea, and what type of he got this going, and he he deal with Satan, and that don't matter. He finna lose. The shit finna fail. Okay? That none of that matters, man. He's finna lose. He's not gonna be able to perform, all right, his enterprise, man. Okay? So Esau get up here like he got it figured out, and there's no way out of this for everybody, that he's so far ahead, and he got this, and he got this nigga finna lose, man. Prophecy is walking this nigga down. Okay? This word is tapping this nigga on the shoulder now, man. And he finna lose. You see? So Esau finna be disappointed, man. I don't care what it looked like on TV, on camera. This nigga, I don't care how far it's seen, he gonna get into his new world order, man. He loses, man. Okay? And it's not gonna take long. This nigga been building this for centuries. And the Most High gonna come throw it down in an hour. Okay? That hour gonna come. I don't care how much he get of this new world order set up and up and running. All right, that hour coming, man. Okay? It says, reading verse 12 again, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. Okay? So this devil in his own craftiness, which this devil thinks he's on to something, and that he got some type of possibility of offsetting prophecy, man. Okay? Of doing his own thing. You see? But we know he's going to fail. Okay? We know that everything that he's trying to establish, the Lord is finna tear down. They shall build, but I will throw down again. That's a guarantee. Okay? But then you jump down to Job 5:22. At destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh. At destruction and famine, speaking of the elect. Okay? So the elect, this is why we don't have to worry about prepping. Okay? We don't have to worry about, trying to carnally prepare for this and have this and that and that. No, the scripture says, destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh. That's our preparation to believe in that. Okay? Now, there's nothing wrong if you're able to grow your own food, or, you're able to be self-sufficient to a degree. You see? But it's going to be miracles that's going to preserve us to the chariots, man. We know that. There's nothing wrong with, being an outdoorsman, tapping into things. You see? Absolutely nothing wrong with that, man. Okay? But what's going to preserve us to the chariots is the Lord's miracles, man, this word. Okay? And destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh. You see? So when people are having strokes and heart attacks because of what's going on, the Lord said that destruction and famine, we shall laugh, man. You see? And that comforts us going into these times. It said, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beast of the earth. And remember, there's going to be wild beasts tearing people apart, man. The teeth of wild beasts is part of the Lord's judgment, man. Okay? It said, for thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacles, all right, thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation and shalt not see it. Okay? So the Lord has it set up. Okay, even when you read verse 20, it says, "In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword." Okay, he said, "Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh," man. So the elect gonna be in good case. We're gonna take some losses, it's gonna be uncomfortable. We're gonna lose things on this side. Okay, well, really ain't no loss because it's just time to transition at this point. Okay, it's just time to transition at this point, and we transitioning, all right, to immortality, man. Okay, we're leaving these, these apartments, these houses, these cars, and little status of career, whatever. We're leaving these things and transitioning to immortality, man. Okay, and righteousness, man. You see, we're going to be with the King. Okay, so the elect gonna be in good case, man. You see, we go that straight gate is gonna be uncomfortable, okay. But the Lord, all right, is gonna show favor. There's gonna come a point on this straight gate where favor gonna kick in, man. And we're gonna be in a good case. It just we have to ride the uncomfortable part out with faith and belief. Okay, and then that favor kicks in, man. You see? And Joel pretty much said everything. I can go to let's get this. Cause like I say, even in death. Okay, let's go here to Thessalonians. This is First Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 13 said, "But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope." All right, those that have died in Yahushua. Okay, you got brothers, that was in camps, that are gone. Okay, they passed away doing the work, man. You see, it said, "For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will the Most High bring with him." So they're going to be on those chariots. They're going to be resurrected and on those chariots. They're going to be waiting on us if we survive. The elect that's going to survive, all right. Those that have died in Yahushua, they're going to be on those chariots awaiting us, man. Okay, said, "For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will the Most High bring with them. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Yahushua shall rise first." Okay, the dead in Yahushua Hamashiach shall rise first, man. You see? So even dying for Yahushua, dying in Yahushua, it still got plot armor. Okay? Still gonna be on the scene at the end of the movie. You know how certain characters, you thought they died and they was gone. But then at the end of the movie they show up and then they show how they, survived. Okay? Well, this is on a whole nother level. It's going to be our believers that die in Yahushua. Okay, and Yahushua is going to resurrect them at the end. As he's coming to judge this world, those that die in Yahushua are going to be on those chariots, man. They'll be resurrected. You see? So when Yahushua entered this realm to deliver and wage war, okay, those that died in Yahushua are going to be on those chariots, man. They're going to rise first. It said, "Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them," showing you that someone has to remain, a remnant. Okay, remnant goes into what? Remainder. You see? "Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words, man. You know, and this is what we comfort each other with is these words, man. We're gonna be all right. You know, we're gonna be all right, man. Like that Kendrick Lamar song. You see, so the hopeful elect, all right, have plot on them, okay, and we have to be here at the end, and even in death, okay, nothing is gonna stop the elect from being on those chariots, man. Okay, John the Revelator say he seen those that was beheaded, what sitting on thrones. You see, so there's nothing that can separate us from the victory that's in Yahushua. We are the elect. Okay, we're going to be of that first batch of Israelites to come down and establish righteousness with Yahushua, man. You know, so yeah, that's the point. Just wanted to get into that. You know, brothers. Brothers been going into that for a couple of weeks now. So, Lord, will you brothers and you sisters edify to the next time I say Shalom, or my Shalom, Bible, Shalom.